Okay, this is called A Smile That Melted My Heart. I was walking down a corridor back to my workplace, and just as I got level with the door in the corridor, it suddenly opened, and she stepped out of the room, and I was instantly in awe of her beauty. I was taken aback and mesmerized. It was but a moment, and yet time seemed to stand still, and all my heart could say was, wow. I have never ever touched it, yet she would become my muse. Where does this spark come from? When it suddenly ignites, we can't say why, it just happens. It was as if by magic. She wasn't there, then suddenly she is. And yes, you are mesmerized and bewitched, albeit for a moment. When you see this auburn-haired beauty for the first time, her smile takes your breath away. She can melt your heart away without even a word being spoken. Just a smile, and that smile lights up your life. I couldn't get her out of my head or out of my heart. And that's a smile that melted my heart. So if anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. Next reader, please.
Well, I would like to try one.
Okay, and then the mic is yours.
As I gaze on the moon and the clouds that float by, the moon shines so fair, it reminds me of thee. But the clouds that obscure it are emblems of me. They will pass like the dreams of a player and youth. They will pass like the promise of honor and truth. And bright thou shalt shine when these shadows are gone, all radiant, serene, unobstructable, but alone. Thank you.
If you can hear me, can you take over a minute? I'm having problems with my mouse.
Can I do one, please?
Yes.
Please go on.
It's called The Road Not Taken. Would things have really been so different? Would the world really have been so shaken? If when I were a younger man, I had chosen the road not taken, would the days have been any the brighter, or the nights darker than they are? Would I still have lived in such obscurity, or shined brighter than any star? It does little good to wonder of things that might have been, for who and what I have become, I must live within the end. Though life could have been much better, all in all, I do not feel forsaken. I count the blessings that I have, and cry not of the road not taken. Thank you.
I can read one.
Go on, Shaila, please.
Alright, I have to put this in chat in 2 parts. It's a little long, but the road less taken is really about maybe not taking any roads again. It's about passing, really. Making a choice. This is another one. This is called Thanatopsis. It's by William Cullen Bryant, and Thanatopsis is a meditation on death, and I think this is a beautiful one. To him who in the love of nature holds communion with her visible forms, she speaks a various language. For his gayer hours she has a voice of gladness, and a smile and eloquence of beauty. And she glides into his darker musings with a mild and healing sympathy that steals away their sharpness ere he is aware. When thoughts of the last bitter hour come like a blight over thy spirit, and sad images of the stern agony and shroud and pall and breathless darkness and narrow house make thee to shudder and grow sick at heart, go forth under the open sky and list to nature's teachings, while from all around, earth and her waters and the depths of air, comes a still voice. Yet a few days, and thee the all-beholding sun shall see no more in all his course, nor yet in the cold ground where thy pale fame where thy pale form was laid with many tears, nor in the embrace of ocean shall exist thy image. Earth that nourished thee shall claim thy growth, to be resolved to earth again, and, lost each human trace, surrendering up thine individual being, shalt thou go to mix forever with the elements, to be a brother to the insensible rock, and to the sluggish clod which the rude swain turns with his share and treads upon. The oak shall send his roots abroad and pierce thy mould. Yet not to thine eternal resting place shalt thou retire alone, nor couldst thou wish couch more magnificent. Thou shalt light down with patriarchs of the infant world, with kings, the powerful of the earth, the wise, the good, fair forms, and hoary seers of ages past, all in one mighty sepulchre. The hills, rock-ribbed and ancient as the sun, the vales stretching in pensive quietness between, the venerable woods, rivers that move in majesty, and the complaining brooks that make the meadows green, and, poured around all, old ocean's gray and melancholy waste, are but the solemn decorations all of the great tomb of man. The golden sun, the planets, all the infinite host of heaven are shining on the sad abodes of death through the still lapse of ages. All that tread the globe are but a handful to the tribes that slumber in its bosom. Take the wings of morning, pierce the Barcan wilderness, or lose thyself in the continuous woods where rolls the Oregon and hears no sound save his own dashings. Yet the dead are there, and millions in those solitudes, since first the flight of years began, have laid them down in their last sleep. The dead reign there alone. So shalt thou rest. Pardon me. It's a nice day. There's motorcycles. In their last step, the dead reign there alone. So shalt thou rest. And what if thou withdraw in silence from the living, and no friend take note of thy departure? All that breathe will share thy destiny. The gay will laugh when thou art gone. The solemn brood of care plod on, and each one as before will chase his favorite phantom. Yet all these shall leave their mirth and their employments, and shall come and make their bed with thee. As the long train of ages glide away, the sons of men, the youth in life's green spring, and he who goes in the full strength of years, matron and maid, the speechless babe, and the gray-headed man, shall one by one be gathered to thy side by those who in their turn shall follow them. So live, that when thy summons comes to join the innumerable caravan which moves to that mysterious realm where each shall take his chamber in the silent halls of death, thou go not like the quarry slave at night, scourged to his dungeon, but sustain and soothe by an unfaltering trust, approach thy grave, like one who wraps the drapery of his couch about him and lies down to pleasant dreams. And that's Thanatopsis by William Cullen Bryant.
I can read another one. Sabre, if you're talking, nobody can hear you.
He said he had to fix something. He said he'd like someone to take over for a bit.
So Wolfram did read before the road not taken. I thought it will be Robert Frost poem. It was another one, also beautiful, but now I will read this poem that I thought it will be. And it's The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. I really like this one, guys. Two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lie in leaves. No step had trodden black. Oh, I keep the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere eights and eights hands, two roads diverge in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Thanks, guys. Is there anybody who wishes to share a poem? Please step forward or just say. Thanks for the applauses, they are appreciated. Yay, Kali! Okay, sweetie, go on. The mic is yours.
Thank you. This is actually a lyrics again because I'm running out of poems. Let's paste. Okay. This is the day you said goodnight. Take me as you are, push me off the road. The sadness, I need this time to be with you. I'm freezing in the sun. I'm burning in the rain. The silence, I'm screaming, calling out your name. The calmness in your face that I see through the night, the warmth of your light is pressing onto us. You didn't ask me why, I never would have known. Oblivion is falling down, and I do reside in your light. Put out the fire with me and find. Yeah, you'll lose the side of your circles. That's what I'll do if we said goodbye. To be is all I got to be, and all that I see, and all that I need this time. To me, the life you gave me, the day you said goodnight. Thank you.
Yeah, Gali got this angelic voice. I could hear her for hours, just as Shaila. Shaila has also very calming voice. Guys, if there is anybody who writes and then agrees, I don't know, I don't hear myself. Anyway, guys, if you wish to read a poem or two, do not hesitate and step forward to do it. And yes, this is
I can read it.
especially awesome. Mike is yours.
All right. I'll go back to Robert Frost. He's one of my favorites. This is one of his called Birches by Robert Frost. When I see birches bend to left and right, across the lines of straighter, darker trees, I like to think some boy's been swinging them. But swinging doesn't bend them down to stay as ice storms do. Often you must have seen them loaded with ice a sunny winter morning after a rain. They click upon themselves as the breeze rises, and turn many-colored as the stir cracks and crazes their enamel. Soon the sun's warmth makes them shed crystal shells, shattering and avalanching on the snow crust. Such heaps of broken glass to sweep away, you'd think the inner dome of heaven had fallen. They are dragged to the withered bracken by the load, and they seem not to break, though once they are bowed so low for long, they never right themselves. You may see their trunks arching in the woods years afterwards, trailing their leaves on the ground like girls on hands and knees that throw their hair before them over their heads to dry in the sun. But I was going to say when Truth broke in, with all her matter of fact about the ice storm, I should prefer to have some boy bend them as he went out and in to fetch the cows. Some boy too far from town to learn baseball, whose only play was what he found himself, summer or winter, and could play alone. One by one he subdued his father's trees by riding them down over and over again, until he took the stiffness out of them, and not one but hung limp, not one was left for him to conquer. He learned all there was to learn about not launching out too soon, and so not carrying the tree away clear to the ground. He always kept his pose to the top branches, climbing carefully with the same pains you use to fill a cup up to the brim and even above the brim. Then he flung outward, feet first, with a swish, kicking his way down through the air to the ground. So was I once myself a swinger of birches, and so I dream of going back to be. It's when I'm weary of considerations and life is too much like a pathless wood, where your face burns and tickles with the cobwebs broken across it, and one eye is weeping from a twig's having lashed across it open. I'd like to get away from Earth a while, and then come back to it and begin over. May no fate willfully misunderstand me, and half grant what I wish and snatch me away, not to return. Earth's the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. I'd like to go by climbing a birch tree, and climb black branches up a snow-white trunk toward heaven, till the tree could bear no more, but dipped its top and set me down again. That would be good, both going and coming back. One could do worse than be a swinger of birches. And that's Birches by Robert Frost.
Thank you so much, Shaila, for sharing this one. As always, beautiful reading. Sabre, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. I had to
Yay! Welcome back.
reboot the machine because my lag was killing me, I'm afraid. Okay, if anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share, and the more you share, the more you'll get out of the event.
I just wanted to say that Socrates is here, so you can read maybe some cat poem.
Okay, well, I read one before when I started, but not a problem.
Is thirsty now there.
Yeah. Let me just change the folder that I've got in front of me without killing myself. Right. I know he likes T.S. Eliot. Okay. Macavity the Mystery Cat by T.S. Eliot. Macavity the Mystery Cat is called the Hidden Paw, for he's the master criminal who can defy the law. He's the bafflement of Scotland Yard, the flying squad's despair. For when they reach the scene of crime, Macavity's not there. Macavity, there's no one like Macavity. He's broken every human law, he breaks the law of gravity. His power of levitation would make a fakir stare. And when you reach the scene of crime, Macavity's not there. You may seek him in the basement, you may look up in the air. But I tell you once and once again, Macavity's not there. Macavity's a ginger cat, he's very tall and thin. You would know him if you saw him, for his eyes are sunken in. His brow is deeply lined with thought. His head is highly domed. His coat is dusty from neglect. His whiskers are uncombed. He sways his head from side to side with movements like a snake. And when you think he's half asleep, he's really wide awake. Macavity, there's no one like Macavity, for he's a fiend in feline shape, a monster of depravity. You may meet him in a by-street, you may see him in the square, but when a crime's discovered, then Macavity's not there. He's outwardly respectable, they say he cheats at cards, and his footprints are not found in any file of Scotland Yard. And when the larder's looted, or the jewel case is rifled, or when the milk is missing, or another peak's been stifled, or the greenhouse glass is broken, and the trellis past repair, there's the wonder of the thing, Macavity's not there. Oh. And when the Foreign Office find a treaty's gone astray, or the Admiralty lose some plans and drawings by the way, there may be a scrap of paper in the hall or on the stair, But it's useless to investigate. McCavity's not there. And when the loss has been disclosed, the Secret Service say it must have been McCavity, but he's a mile away. You'll be sure to find him resting or the licking of his thumbs, or engaged in doing complicated long division sums. McCavity, there's no one like McCavity. There never was a cat of such deceitfulness and suavity. He always has an alibi and one or two to spare. At whatever time the deed took place, McCavity wasn't there. And they say when all the cats are whose wicked days their ways are done, unknown. I might mention Mungo Jerry, I might mention Griddlebone, are nothing more than agents for the cat who all the time just controls their operations, the Napoleon of crime. That's McCavity and the Mystery Cat by T.S. Eliot, just for Socrates. So if anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so.
I can.
Okay, the mic is yours.
I will read a poem that I never read before. So guys, bear with me. The poem is called A Little Song by Amy Lowell. When you, my dear, are away, how wearily goes the creeping day. A year drags after morning and night, starts another year of candlelight, a pausing sun and lingering moon. Grant me, I beg of you, this boon. Whirl around the earth as never sun has his diurnal journey run, and moon slip past the ladders of air in a single flash, while your streaming hair catches the stars and pulls them down to shine on some slumbering Chinese town. O kindly sun, understanding moon, bring evening to crowd the footsteps of noon. But when that long-awaited day hangs reap in the heavens, your voyaging stay, be morning, O sun, with the lark in song, be afternoon for ages long, and moon, let you and your lesser lights watch over a century of nights. And it was Amy Lowell and her A Little Song. Back to you, Sabre. And Ale Angel can also read. Have you heard me, Sabre?
I'm here. Angel,
I-
have you got one?
Well, okay, I will share this poem in English and Spanish that my princess gave me. That's called If You Forget Me by Pablo Neruda. I want you to know one thing. You know how it is if I look at the crystal moon, at the red branch of the slow autumn, at my window, if I touch near the fire the impalpable ash of the wrinkled body of the log, everything carries me to you, as is everything that exists, aromas, light, metals, were little boats that sail toward those isles of yours that wait for me. Well now, if little by little you stop loving me, I shall stop loving you little by little. If suddenly you forget me, do not look for me, for I shall already forgotten you. If you think it long and mad, that wind of banners that passes through my life and you decide to leave me at the shore of the heart where I have roots, remember that on that day, at that hour, I shall lift my arms, and my root will set off to seek another land. But if each day, each hour, you feel that you are destined for me with implacable sweetness, if each day a flower climbs up to your lips to seek me, ah, my love, ah, my own, in me all that fire is repeated. In me nothing is extinguished or forgotten. My love feeds on your love, beloved, and as long as you live, it will be in your arms, without leaving mine. Y bueno, esta es en español. Sorry, my pronounce. Bueno, esto es en español. Si tú me olvidas, de Pablo Neruda. Quiero que sepas una cosa. Tú sabes cómo es esto. Si miro la luna de cristal, la rama roja del lento otoño en mi ventana. Si toco junto al fuego la impalpable ceniza o el arrugado cuerpo de la leña, todo me lleva a ti, como si todo lo que existe, aromas, luz, metales, fueran pequeños barcos que navegan hacia las islas tuyas que me aguardan. Ahora bien, si poco a poco dejas de quererme, dejaré de quererte poco a poco. Si de pronto me olvidas, no me busques, que ya te habré olvidado. Si consideras largo y loco el viento de banderas que pasa por mi vida, y te decides a dejarme a la orilla del corazón en que tengo raíces, piensa que en ese día, a esa hora, levantaré los brazos y saldrán mis raíces a buscar otra tierra. Pero si cada día, cada hora, sientes que a mí estás destinada con dulzura implacable, si cada día sube una flor a tus labios a buscarme, ay amor mío, ay mía, en mí todo ese fuego se repite, en mí nada se apaga ni se olvida. Mi amor se nutre de tu amor, amada, y mientras vivas estará en tus brazos sin salir de los míos. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you, AL Angel, for sharing those poems with us in English and Spanish. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. This is Mr. Mistopheles, also by T.S. Eliot. You ought to know Mr. Mistopheles, the original conjuring cat. There can be no doubt about that. Please listen to me and don't scoff. All his inventions are off his own bat. There's no such cat in the metropolis. He holds other patent monopolies for performing surprising illusions and creating eccentric confusions. At prestidigitation and at legerdemain, he'll defy examination and deceive you again. The greatest magicians have something to learn from Mr. Mistopheles' conjuring turn. Presto. Away we go, and we all said, "Oh! Well, I never! Was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles? He's quiet and small, he's black. From his ears to the tip of his tail, he can creep through the tiniest crack. He can walk on the narrowest rail. He can pick any card from a pack. He's equally cunning with dice. He's always deceiving you into believing that he's only hunting for mice. He can play any trick with a cork, or a spoon and a bit of fish paste. If you look for a knife or a fork and you think it is merely misplaced, you've seen it one moment and then it's gone. But you'll find it next week lying out on the lawn. And we all said, "Oh, well, I never! Was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles?" His manner is vague and aloof. You would think there was nobody shyer. but his voice has been heard on the roof when he was curled up by the fire, and he's sometimes been heard by the fire when he was about on the roof. At least we all heard somebody who purred, which is incontestable proof of his singular magical powers, and I'm known to the family to call him in from the garden for hours while he was asleep in the hall. And not long ago this phenomenal cat produced 7 kittens right out of a hat, and we all said, "Oh, well, I never. Did you ever know a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles?" That's Mr. Mistopheles by T.S. Eliot. Does anybody have a poem that they would like to share? You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share, and the more you share, the more you'll get out of the event. This one is called Shimbleshanks the Railway Cat. Oh, Gally!
Sabre,
Gally, Gally, the mic is yours.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Don't worry about it.
Say something. In the quiet shadows where silence looms, I stand on the edge of a love's empty rooms. Say something, I'm giving up on you. Words left unspoken in the fading blue. Your voice was a symphony, now a distant hum, a melody of heartache where no answers come. Every glance, now hollow, speaks of regret, a love once vibrant, now a silhouette. Say something, I'm giving up on you. A plea in the night where stars once flew. Promises now linger like ghosts in the air. Dreams unravel, tangled in despair. In the echoes of what we used to be, a whisper of hope fades quietly. Each step I take feels like goodbye as I search for the courage to finally fly. Say something, I'm giving up on you. A fragile truth in the morning dew. Love's tender fire now burns low. A silent farewell as I let you go. In the silence that follows, I'll find my way through the shadows of night to the light of day. Say something, I'm giving up on you. For in letting go, I'll begin anew. Thank you.
Thank you, Gally, for sharing that with us. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. And don't forget to dig deep into your pockets and purses. And it's time to pay the piper, so to speak, by making donations to the American Relay for Life. So
American Cancer
generous,
Society.
well, same thing, Relay for Life, American Cancer Research. So if you're feeling generous, please dig deep in your purses and your pockets and donate to cancer research. And while you're doing that, I can read how many more poems. Elaine?
What did you say, Sabre? I didn't understood.
How many more poems can I read?
Oh, let's read 2 more and then we have something to do in Sparta.
Right, yo. Okay. We've got 2 poems to come up and they're both about cats. And one is Shimbleshanks the Railway Cat by T.S. Eliot. There's a whisper down the line at 11:39 when the night mail's ready to depart, saying, "Shimbles, where is Shimbles? He has gone to hunt the thimble. We must find him, or the train can't start." All the guards and the porters and the station master's daughters, they're searching high and low, saying, "Shimbles, where is Shimbles? For unless he's very nimble, then the night mail just can't go. At 11:42, then the signal's nearly due, and the passengers are frantic to unman. Then Shimbles will appear, and he'll saunter to the rear. He's been busy in the luggage van. He gives one flash of his glass green eyes, and the signals all go clear, and we're off at last for the northern part of the northern hemisphere. You may say that by and large it's Shimbles who's in charge of the sleeping car express. From the drivers and the guards and the baggage men playing cards, he will supervise them all more or less. Down the corridor he paces and examines all the faces of the travellers in the first and in the third. He establishes control by a regular patrol, and he knows at once if anything's occurred. He will watch you without winking, and he sees what you are thinking, and it's certain that he doesn't approve of hilarity and riot, so the folks are very quiet when Shimbles is about and on the move. You can play no plank with Shimbleshanks. He's the cat that cannot be ignored, so nothing goes wrong on the Northern Mail when Shimbleshanks is abroad. Oh, it's very pleasant when you have found your little den, with your name written up on the door, and the berth is very neat, with a newly folded sheet, and there's not a speck of dust on the floor. There is every sort of light, you can make it dark or bright. There's a button that you turn to make a breeze. There's a funny little basin you're supposed to wash your face in, and a crank to shut the window if you sneeze. Then the guard looks in politely and will ask you very brightly, do you like your morning tea weak or strong? But Shimbles just behind him was ready to remind him, for Shimbles won't let anything go wrong. And when you creep into your cosy berth and pull up your counterpane, you are bound to admit that it's very nice to know that you won't be bothered by mice. You can leave all that to the railway cat, the cat of the railway train. In the middle of the night he's always fresh and bright. Every now and then he has a cup of tea, with perhaps a drop of scotch, whilst he's keeping on his watch, only stopping here and there to catch a flea. You were fast asleep at Crewe, so you never really knew he was walking up and down the station. You were sleeping all the while he was busy in Carlisle, where he greets the station master with elation. But you saw him at Dumfries, where he summoned the police. If there's anything they ought to know about, when you get to Galway Gate, there you do not have to wait, for Shimbleshanks will help you to get out. He gives you a wave of his long brown tail, which says, I'll see you again. And we'll meet without fail on the midnight mail, the cat of the railway train. And that's by T.S. Eliot, Shimbleshanks. There's room for one more poem, so if anybody has a poem that they would like to share, I'll let you have the last poem. But I do have another cat poem, just in case. For Socrates. Any takers for a poem? Okay, the last poem. It's called The History of One Tough Motherfucker by Charles Bukowski. He came to the door one night, wet, thin, beaten and terrorized. A white, cross-eyed, tailless cat. I took him in and fed him, and he stayed. Grew to trust me, until a friend drove up the driveway and ran him over. I took what was left to the vet, who said not much chance. Given these pills, his backbone was crushed. But it was crushed before and somehow mended. If he lives, he'll never walk. Look at these x-rays, he's been shot. Look, Here, the pellets are still there. Also, he once had a tail. Somebody cut it off. I took the cat back. It was a hot summer, one of the hottest in decades, and I put him on the bathroom floor, gave him water and pills. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't touch the water. I dipped my finger into it and wet his mouth, and I talked to him. I didn't go anywhere. I put in a lot of bathroom time and talked to him, and gently touched him, and he looked back at me with those pale blue crossed eyes, and as the days went by he made his first move, dragging himself forward by his front legs. The rear ones wouldn't work. He made it to the litter box, crawled over and in. It was like the trumpet of a possible victory, blowing in that bathroom and into the city. I related to that cat. I'd had it bad. Not that bad, but bad enough. One morning he got up, stood up and fell back down. Just looked at me. "You can make it," I said to him. He kept trying, getting up and falling down. Finally, he walked a few steps. He was like drunk. The rear legs just didn't do it. And he fell again, rested, then got up. You know the rest. Now he's better than ever. Cross-eyed, almost toothless, but the grace is back, and that look in his eyes never left. And now sometimes I'm interviewed. They want to hear about literature. And I get drunk, hold up my cross-eyed, shot, run over, detailed cat, and I say, look at this. But they don't understand. They say something like, you said you've been influenced by Celine. No, I hold up the cat. By what happens, by things like this. By this, by this. I shake the cat, hold him up in the smoky and drunken light. He relaxes, he knows. It's then that the interview ends, although I'm proud sometimes. When I see the pictures later, and there I am, and there is the cat, and we are photographed together. He too knows it's bullshit, but that somehow it works. That's the history of One Tough Motherfucker by Charles Bukowski. And unfortunately that brings us to the end of the event. Thank you everyone for coming and sharing. Stay safe everyone, have fun, enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you for hosting this one for us, Sabre. I invite everyone and each of you to next week poetry event held at our usual location within the Empire of Sparta. And meanwhile, you guys can have a run for a cure here at the Rely for Life region. This is a special event. I think everyone had at least one member of family that been affected by cancer. I lost so many that this event to sponsor is somehow my tribute to the family members that I lost. I hope just a moment. Yeah, I love stupid when I feel emotional. Guys, thank you for supporting us in this event, and see you soon.
Thank you, Helene. I'll see you all later. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye for now.
Command members, move your bums to Sparta for the meeting.
I'll see you next week. Bye.
Laila, you can just come to Sparta and take a look over there. I don't know if you were there already or not after your return to Second Life. Okay, I will TP you. Just let me take TP to there, and then you can have a look around. Oh, wait a moment. Here is really very, very laggy. Okay, guys, see you at Sparta.